You have shamed me, shamed our marriage, shamed our family, the sanctity of this marriage, of Islam. You went against the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Get out of my house, you and your useless children. Abdullahi Bello wiped sweat from his forehead as he pushed his wheelbarrow through the scorching streets of Kano. A graduate without connections, he struggled for years, doing menial jobs while dreaming of wealth. He hadn't been born into wealth. His father had been a farmer with two wives. His father had died in a road accident while coming back home from where he had gone to sell their farm produce. Abdullahi had just graduated from the secondary school then. His mother had died a few months after that, as her heart could not bear the loss. She had loved her husband, and he had loved her dearly, and had treated her fairly, even though he had a second wife, who also bore him sons. Abdullahi's wife, Ramat, stood by him, selling fabrics in the market to support their home. Allah had blessed them with 3 kids, girls. One day, Ramat told Abdullahi softly, Abdullahi, one day, Allah will bless us. We will have more than enough. Abdullahi, sighing, said, I hope that day comes soon, my love. Abdullahi kept working hard, doing anything he could so as to keep his family provided for. One day, at a secondary school alumni meeting, Abdullahi met an old classmate who introduced him to importation. With Ramat's encouragement, he borrowed money and took the risk. His first deal failed. The second one failed too. But the third changed everything. Ramat has said in a worried voice, Abdullahi, we have lost so much. Are you sure about this? And Abdullahi had responded firmly, trust me, Ramat, just one more chance. That one more chance paid off. His importation business flourished, and within 2 years, he became a billionaire. And then, the pressure of wealth started. His brothers, born from his father's second wife, started visiting more often. His stepmother, Hajia Saadatu, always smiled sweetly but spoke bitter words behind his back. Hajia Saadatu said, a man without a son is like a tree without roots. Ramat has given you only girls. What will happen to your wealth? His brothers also echoed her words. His brother Mustafa said, Wallahi, you need a son, Abdullahi. Or who will inherit your name? Abdullahi adored his daughters, Amina, Zainab, and Fatima. He played with them, bought them gifts, and ensured they had the best education. Ramat, grateful for his love, never took it for granted. She would say, you are a good father, Abdullahi, a great one. But the pressure from his family never stopped. One day, his lawyer visited him one afternoon in the office. Alhaji Abdullahi, it's wise to put your estate in order. Abdullahi frowned and said, What do you mean by that? Alhaji, you need to write a will. What? Write a will? Are you trying to kill me early? It's bad luck, oh. It is bad luck to write a will at this age of mine. Do you want me to die early? The lawyer said, no, sir. It's protection for your family and loved ones. The Allah, let me be. I will not call death with my own hands. I still have years ahead. Then his brothers began to spread rumors. They accused Ramat of controlling him, of planning to steal his wealth. The whispers began to poison Abdullahi's mind. Mustafa said to Abdullahi, we saw Ramat at the bank, talking to another man. Are you sure she's loyal? And her daughters are the ones aiding her. Abdullahi frowned. The thought of betrayal disturbed him. Why had Ramat not told him that she was going to the bank today? One evening, Mustafa rushed into Abdullahi's office. Brother, you need to come home now. Abdullahi was worried. What is going on? I hope all is well. My brother, you need to come and see this for yourself. Abdullahi hurried home and they hurried into his bedroom, only to see Ramat in bed with a younger man. She screamed in shock when she saw him. Ramat started crying. Wallahi, I don't know him. Who are you, young man? Who are you? This is a setup. What are you doing in my bedroom? Ah, Megida, Wallahi, this is a setup. I don't know this young man. I don't know what is happening. What is going on? She was crying. Abdullahi shook with rage and screamed, Rahamat, you have shamed me, shamed our family, shamed the sanctity of this marriage, of Islam. You went against the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Get out of my house, you and your useless children. Ramat scrambled off the bed, covering herself with a sheet. With her eyes filled with terror, she said, It's not what you think, Megida. Please, there must be an explanation. The young man stammered, trying to speak, but Abdullahi wasn't listening. His rage was blinding. His hands shook as he gripped the bedside lamp. For a moment, it was as if he would strike them. But then he controlled himself and he didn't. Instead, he spat on the floor, stormed out, and slammed the door so hard the walls shook. The sound echoed like a death sentence. Ramat quickly dressed up, gathering herself. She and her daughters knelt in the sitting room where Abdullahi was, and they begged, Please, Abdullahi, hear me out. There must be an explanation for this. Abdullahi angrily said, I trusted you, Ramat, but you betrayed that trust. Never again. Get out of my house. Ramat wept, swearing an innocence. Their daughters begged him, but he sent them away. With Ramat gone, his brothers grew bolder. They started moving into his house, taking his cars, and even giving orders in his company. His stepmother smiled in satisfaction. Abdullahi didn't mind. After all, they were his family, and they had been with him through it all as well. One night, Abdullahi walked down his grand staircase. His foot slipped. He tumbled down, and everything went dark. While he lay in a coma, his brothers and stepmother believed he would die. The doctor's prognosis had not been good, especially because of Abdullahi's age. They took over his businesses, locked his daughters out of his assets, and started selling his properties. However, while in a state of coma, Abdullahi saw everything. His mind wandered around. It teetered between life and death, and he saw things. The lies, the betrayal, his wife's innocence. He saw his brothers drug the man and place him in his bed to frame Ramat. He saw the money theft, the fake evidence against her. He screamed, but no one could hear him. 3 months later, he woke up, weak, confused, but determined. A nurse gasped, Doctor, he is awake! The doctor rushed in, checking his vitals. The doctor said, Alhaji Abdullahi, can you hear me? Abdullahi's voice was harsh, but he answered, Where am I? The doctor responded, You've been in a coma for 3 months. You had a severe fall. How do you feel? Abdullahi answered weakly, like I have unfinished business. When Abdullahi got out of the hospital, the first thing he did was to call his lawyer. and he told his lawyer, call the police, call my banker, and find my daughters. When news spread that he was alive, his brothers were horrified. Mustafa, in a panicked voice, said, he's awake? Abdullahi is awake? Ha! How now? How? He was supposed to die? And his other brother responded, what do we do now? That is the issue. Unfortunately, they were not prepared for Abdullahi coming out of the coma. Their stolen fortune was crumbling before them. Abdullahi, wiser now, wrote a will. He froze his brother's access to his businesses and he searched for Ramat and his daughters. He found them in a modest neighborhood, living humbly. Finding Ramat was not easy, but when he did, he fell to his knees. Abdullahi, in a pleading voice, said, I was blind, Ramat. Please forgive me. I was deceived. The evidences seemed so real. Forgive me, my wife, please. Ramat hesitated, looking at him with hurt in her eyes. Tears brimmed in her eyes. You threw me out, Abdullahi. You didn't even hear me out. You didn't even have an iota of doubt in you. You turned your back on us. Their daughters clung to her, looking at him with a mix of love and resentment. Fatima said, Baba, we missed you. Ramat sighed and said, for their sake, Abdullahi, I forgive you. Abdullahi hugged his wife and daughters, and they all went home together. His brothers were arrested for fraud. His stepmother exposed. They lost everything they stole. One day, in their living room, Abdullahi stood before his daughters and said, never delay writing your will. Never let others poison your mind. And never take family for granted. He had learned the hard way, but he was alive to make things right. The end. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I enjoyed writing it. I'd love to hear from you. What do you think about writing your will as soon as you have assets? Do you think writing of will means you're calling for death? Or do you think that writing of will means you're planning adequately for the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And don't forget, if you have a story suggestion, please put it in the comment section as well. See you in the next video. Hello friends, it's your personal person, Cha. Thank you for watching and for being a part of this family. Please like and subscribe for more wisdom tales. See you in the next video.